Check it.
Is your mic on, Mike?
There we go.
Okay.
You're on
it wasn't
now.
us back there. As I was saying, today is a day of recognition, a day of ceremony, because today the Marines are recognizing one of their own for his service, number one, into the service, but also for being injured in service. As we all know, we're talking about people who are injured during duty. You get a Purple Heart. Let me introduce you to Robert Farner, who is a resident of Vista, but also a POW, prisoner of war from 1942 in World War II. And first of all, Robert, let me say good morning to you.
Good morning to you.
Now take us back to 1942 and tell us exactly what happened when you got injured.
Well, when the war started, I was in the Philippines, and it was on Crigador. And the thing was, we surrendered there. And that's when I started my 3.5 years, what I call in hell.
Mm-hmm. And you were a prisoner of war for 3.5 years,
yeah.
And you also got broken bones.
Yes, I did. The shrapnel wounds from a shelling from Crigador. And then after I was a prisoner of war, I was beaten with the iron rod, broke my arms, and also was hit in the back, and I was paralyzed for a while.
Mr. Farner, I don't want to linger on that too much because I don't want to take you back to those days, but tell me one thing. How hard is it mentally to try and stay focused on knowing that you're going to be free one day, but also going through all that torture?
Well, if you didn't do it, focus on being the freedom, then you died. If you didn't, the food, you had to think about all the food. That was the main thing, was the food. You say, boy, I remember them garbage pans. We used to throw all the food away. I wish we had it now and all that. You had to focus on the freedom. That's the thing. Until your freedom's taken away from you, you'll never realize how much you do miss it.
And I assume that this day today is obviously very special for you, but you have to have a great deal of pride right now being recognized with the Purple Heart.
Oh, this is one of the greatest things that's happened to me. And it's the strangest thing where they found the records. They showed up all of a sudden to the VA, and a friend in the VA sent them to me. And that's how I'm getting these Purple Hearts. I told the Marine Corps all along, I said, hey, they said you got to have proof of that. And I said, hey, it was destroyed, all that. But here they showed up, the Americans, when they liberated Manila. They got the records out of the hospital there. And where they've been at all these years, I don't know.
Well, the most important thing is that they found them. You're going to be recognized today. Before I let you get out of here, let me talk about today's climate as far as the military is concerned, with people talking about war in Iraq or possible war in Iraq. What are your feelings about that?
Well, I hate to have war. I hate for them to see go to war. But the Marines, especially the Marines, are well-trained, and I don't know if I could do it today. The technology is out of this world. I can't believe it. You know, we were all gung-ho back in them days, and everything was manpower, you know. Nowadays, it's just amazing how much difference it is. But the Marines are still the Marines. That's it. There's nothing changed in their pride.
You say you can't do it, but I got a feeling you'd be able to do it and do it with good skill too, my man.
Well, thank you very much. Sometimes I wish I was young to go through again, but I don't know. I don't know if I could take it.
Well, you know, your knowledge itself can teach you a lot. Mr. Farner, congratulations to you and continued success to you.
Thank you very, very much, and this is a proud day in my life, and America got to be proud of the people in America got to be proud to be American and the freedom that they have got nowadays, and especially the kids. With the schooling, they got everything.
Mm-hmm. And some of them don't even know it. Mr. Farner, thank you very much. I hear him testing the mic, so you need to get back up there for your ceremony because this is your day.
All right, thank you very much.
Congratulations. Appreciate it, buddy. Thanks for joining us this morning. Of course, right here at MCRD, it's going to be a very special day for Mr. Farner and his family, of course, all the Marines, too. No one wants to get a Purple Heart because that means you were injured in war. But those who have and came through it like Mr. Farner, thumbs up. Let's go ahead and get to the current numbers at Lindbergh Field. As you see, we've got some sunshine popping around here at MCRD. Even if it was cloudy, it'd be sunny talking to him. Partly cloudy right now in 51 with winds are on the calm side. The western satellite, not too bad here in Southern California. In fact, we got clear skies being reported around the county with some fog too. But I will say, as you see those clouds filter inland, that's another storm system approaching the area, but producing some scattered showers in San Francisco. Now, we're going to rule out showers around here. I will say maybe a scattered sprinkle in the mountains, but I think we'll remain dry because we're on the tail end of the system. For the most part, part, it'll probably bring clouds our way. Expected highs for this afternoon, yes, that frontal system will cool things down for us versus yesterday, but all in all, a pretty nice afternoon in front of us. We're talking about low to mid-60s for the afternoon highs around the area. In fact, at Lindbergh Field, we're looking at an official high probably around 60 degrees. Maybe along the coast, we're talking about some low to mid-60s. Here's your 5-day forecast, which includes your weekend. Overcast today, with some sunshine breaking out in the afternoon. Tomorrow, even better, and temperatures begin to rise back up tomorrow. In fact, on Sunday, we'll call for mostly sunny skies, and on Monday and the first half of next week, nothing but sunshine is promised with temperatures moderating. Here's your pollen count for today. It's a little bit lower than yesterday at 6.0, but it's still kind of that high medium range. Back live on location right now here at MCRD, and we got to thank Mr. Farner and, of course, all the officials here for allowing him some time to talk to us. But very special day for him and his family, and it should be a wonderful day from a weather standpoint. Stan, changing gears just real quick, you know how much it costs to go to a golf tournament and meet some celebrities and things like that. Something was brought to my attention the other day. There's going to be a very special golf tournament taking place Thursday of Super Bowl week. We're talking about January 23rd at the Old Course, the AULD. It's called the First Annual Pigskin Golf Classic, and this is a tournament that's set up for the everyday regular guy to go ahead and participate. We're only talking, you know, sometimes it costs you like $500 to register. Yeah. I was told $150 per player. They're looking for some foursomes. Let me give you the phone number, because from my understanding, that word's getting around and people are starting to fill this up. It's 1-888-441-1223. If you're the everyday Joe that wants to go out to a golf tournament, meet some of the professional athletes and have a good time.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Major General Jan Hewley, the Commanding General here at the Recruit Depot. I want to welcome all of you to our Friday morning color ceremony. Gee, time seems to fly by so quickly. It's Friday already. And I want to thank most of you, I think, are here for Alpha Company's graduation. Is that correct? Let me hear from how many of you are. And if you're not here from Alpha Company's graduation, I suspect you wish you probably were. But what a great opportunity to come out here, enjoy this winter weather with us. Taking some time this afternoon, it'll warm up and it'll be spring, so it'll be okay. I can pretty much guarantee you we're not going to have to execute the inclement weather plan for graduation this morning, so it's going to pretty much go as advertised. So once again, welcome to all of you, to the newly arrivals to the Marine Corps family. It's great to have you aboard. It's great for all of our visitors to be here as well. What we do in the Marine Corps very frequently, because we are still kind of a hands-on, communicative type of an organization, we frequently get the troops together. Like we've got the 12th Marine Corps District there in their formation, we've got this formation here, and it's a great way to account for your people, pass the word, inspect, recognize the efforts of folks, or participate in a ceremony. This morning we've got a representative formation, as we do on most Friday mornings here at the Recruit Depot, and we come out and we just kind of celebrate being Marines. Now we don't draw everybody away from their workstations here because there are a lot of things going on here. But what you see out here is representative of the probably over 3,600 Marines and civilians that go into making a United States Marine. About half of them are recruiters spread throughout the western United States. The other half are located here at Weapons Field, at MCRD, and up at Camp Pendleton at Weapons Field Training Battalion. They not only recruit, as you most are familiar with recruiters, and they not only teach drill in discipline, as you've seen the drill instructors doing, but they clothe, they feed, they transport, they pay, they administer, they heal the body, they heal the teeth, they heal the soul in the form of our Navy patrons, or our Navy supporters and members. They account. They do all manner of things pertaining. They're represented by the logisticians, the administrators, the fiscal folks, the intelligence officer that I've even got standing in there. They're all intelligent, but he's an intelligence officer. They're represented by that great-looking color guard there. And they also entertain and they stir our spirit with their music, like the band behind them. We do this sometimes, many times a day in a Marine Corps organization, perhaps not with all of this flourish. But here at the Recruit Depot, we do it to just celebrate being United States Marines on a Friday morning. We raise the flag, and we come out and we'll recognize the efforts of those who have done well. So this morning I'd like to present my command to you, even though it's representative, for those that have worked hard that you don't ever get a chance to see, to those who look great, and those who entertain us and provide the spirit with the music. How about a round of applause for all those Marines that do well for us? They're the unsung heroes of the Recruit Depot and the Western Recruiting Region, keeping it all together. So today we get to celebrate the company age graduation. About 500 Marines are going to go out there and be unleashed on the enemy as soon as they get done with their training and their liberty and everything. That's great. They're the future of the Marine Corps. And we're awfully proud of what they represent. But this morning we're going to take you down a little bit down memory lane. We've already talked a little bit about the President and Staff Sergeant Wagner, the representative of a great job done in recruiting. But this morning we're going to recognize a hero of the Corps by awarding him his Purple Heart Medal. He earned these awards in World War II. Yeah, sometimes our administration takes a little while to catch up to us. But when all of your records have been destroyed and captured on Corregidor, and memories were hazy, and there were other things to worry about besides being decorated, it does take a little bit of time. You see, a young man by the name of Farner enlisted in the Marines in 1939. Figured he'd do his hitch, maybe get out. The war came, and he was swept up in it. And before all was said and done, he had spent years in a prisoner of war camp, was beaten, was wounded, participated in another conflict, and ended up doing a total of 21 years of service in the United States Marines and retired in 1960. Then he had a professional career after that. Now, he wasn't just a single participant out of his family, because his fathers and uncles already had set the example for him by serving in World War I. He had brothers and other relatives that served in the various armed services in World War II. And in fact, his wife also was a United States Marine during the Korean conflict. He's got sons, one of which served as a door gunner in a Huey in Vietnam, and another of which still serves as proudly in the United States Navy and has just returned from a deployment. How about the Farners all standing up that are here? All of you take a big bow for being heroes and continue to be heroes. Thank you. So we're going to recognize him a little bit late, but I think you'll see he stands just as proud today, just as determined to make whatever sacrifices are necessary to keep our nation great. So without further ado, I'd like to get along with the ceremony. Once again, I'd like to bid all of you welcome to the Recruit Depot at San Diego. Thank you very much for coming and participating in Colors this morning. Enjoy your stay and travel safely going home.
The Purple Heart Medal is our nation's oldest military award. General George Washington established this award during the Revolutionary War. Known as the Badge of Military Merit, it was presented for any singularly meritorious action. The honoree's name and regiment were inscribed in a book of merit. The President of the United States re-established the Purple Heart Medal in 1932. It is awarded to members of the armed forces who, while serving under competent authority in any capacity after 5 April 1917, have been wounded or killed, or have died after being wounded as the result of the actions of a hostile foreign force. Today we have the pleasure of presenting Mr. Robert Farner, the Purple Heart for wounds received in action on 5 May 1942 in the Philippines, and a Gold Star in lieu of a second Purple Heart for wounds received 10 December 1942 while a prisoner of war. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. Attention to orders. The United States of America. To all who shall see these presents, greeting. This is to certify that the President of the United States of America has awarded the Purple Heart and Gold Star in lieu of a second Purple Heart, established by General George Washington at Newburgh, New York, August 7, 1782, to Private First Class Robert P. Farner, United States Marine Corps, for wounds received in action on 5 May 1942 in the Philippines, and for wounds received in action on 10 December 1942 while a prisoner of war. Given under my hand in the city of Washington this 18th day of November 2002, J.L. Jones, General, United States Marine Corps, Commandant of the Marine Corps. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the retiring of the colors.
Color! The colors!
I joined the Marine Corps in 1939. My first duty station was North Island here in San Diego. By the way, I graduated through boot camp here in MCRD, and from North Island went to Shanghai, China. Got there in December of '39, and was with the 4th Marines in Shanghai, China. And I was very lucky to get there when I did, because that summer we went up to North China. Our company did, and got to ride on the USS Augusta heavy cruiser, which I thought was fantastic. And while I was at what they call Chingwan Tile, we got to shoot the old machine gun, water-cooled machine gun. I thought that was real great. And we got to go to Pekin. Our company went to up there on the train. They had Japanese guards and everything on us. And while I was there, I got to see the Great Wall of China. Got to go through the Imperial Palace before it was all tore down, or where it was freedom. We got to see so much of that Forbidden City. And then we got to see the Mongols coming off the Gobi Desert in their caravans, which I think was great. It's just like you see in movies from years ago. And then we went back down on the old Shomont, back down to Shanghai. Got to stop in at Tientsin, by the way, on the way. And we left, the 4th Marines left Shanghai in December of 1941, just before the war. We got down to Subic Bay, and that's when the war started. And from Subic Bay went to Marvelis, and that's where they had a lot of the Navy. There's a dry docks there. And then we went to Corregidor. And we made a landing on Corregidor, which we thought was real something. And we had no water. And I'll never forget this. I went out scouting for us, and I had a couple canteens with me, and I happened to go to General MacArthur's headquarters, his home, and I knocked on the door, and servant came out and wanted to know what I wanted, and I said that was some water. So she gave me nice, fresh, cold water. And I went back to the platoon, and they said, "Where did you get that?" And I said, "I don't know, some house up there." But later on, I didn't know it, but our company was stationed in that area, and I got assigned to General Quarters, General MacArthur's bodyguard at his home, which I thought was great. And of course, later on, the bombing started, and that's where I got the Silver Star at. It was during a bombing raid. The sergeant and myself, it was, we were told to go out and check the foxholes and rescue the guys. And at first we said, "Oh, no." But then after it got started, you forget all about it. And we did rescue some Marines that were wounded. And that's where I was recommended for the Silver Star, the sergeant and I both. But the one thing I did, we were recommended for the Navy Cross at the time. And I don't know, something filed up. But anyway, we ended up with a star. So during all the shelling of Corregidor was from Bataan. And when we first landed there, by the way, it was a jungle. And after so many days of shelling and bombing, it looked like somebody plowed the whole place up. And we used to say that the roads are mighty smooth. And when the airplanes came flying over, we could see where the bombs are going, the land. We'd run from one end of the island to the other end of the island. And we got pretty good at running. And we all dug foxholes that were, my foxhole was a big thing, went down about 6 feet, back a couple feet, down, back, down. Then there was a big room back there. What happened was during the artillery shooting, these here 240s, they were shooting in a triangle. Anything in between there got killed, concussion. And that's why my foxhole went down like that during the shelling, that the concussion wouldn't kill you. And we had a direct hit on my foxhole, and the fire came down there, and there was about 7 or 8 of us down in there. And we had water down there, we had food, It had an air pipe going out. It really fixed up nice. So if we got caved in, we could dig our way out. And also we had a toilet down there, a bucket. That's what we had to, because we'd be down in there for 8 or 10 hours. That shelling going that long. And finally, the Japanese made a landing that one night, and that's on the beach. And that was something that my first firefight was then. And then, of course, they surrendered. And then the Japanese took us to Manila and marched us down the Dewey Boulevard in a victory parade. And we went to Camp O'Donnell or Camatatuan up there. And from there, well, right off the bat there, it was funny. There was so many of us. We had no water in there, but one little spigot, and you had to line up. You might be a day or two waiting to get a drink of water, and so you had to have water. So that's where it really got the hardship, and of course a lot of guys started dying. And first mistreatment of the American prisoners was where they shot 7 guys, tied them up to a post and shot them. And what did they do? We don't know. But the thing of it was, I got assigned to out of there to a working party to an island called Palawan. And we went down, started making an airport down there out of the jungle. And we said, how can we make an airport when we only got is shovels, axes, and picks? But we started doing that, and we really got to know the different foods to eat. We ate everything that was, snakes, lizards. One thing that we really enjoyed was cutting down the coconut trees, and a lot of the coconuts were fermented and made tuba, so the guys would get drunk on that in there. And then one day another man and myself, we got to stay in. We didn't have to go on a working party because we had tropical ulcers. And outside this prison camp was this great big papaya tree, and everybody was looking at them papayas, wondering how in the heck they're going to get the papayas outside the barbed wire fence. So this day, I told this other Marine, I said, hey, let's get them papayas. He said, how are you going to do that? I said, well, I'll throw a stick out between the fence, and I go tell the guard that they needed that there stick for in the kitchen. So the guard let me go down, and when he wasn't watching, he turned around. I poked the papayas out of the tree, and I was handing them through to the other Marine, and we got caught. And that is where hell started. They stood us up at attention, and this here Jap sergeant, I'll never forget him. He was a sadist. He had a iron rod about 6 feet long, and he started beating right across the back. The first string right across the back, and I thought he broke my back. And I passed out. They stood me up, electric shock, and they're going to beat me more. And I put my arms behind my back, locked them behind there. They tried to get them loose. I said, no. So he started beating me again, and that's when my arms were broke. So if it wasn't for my arms behind there, I would have been dead or, broken back. And then the other Marine, they did the same thing to him. I told him to lock his arms behind, and his arm was really broken bad. And then they stood us up. Not only that, they stood us up against the concrete wall, and they had all the Japanese go by, this sergeant did, beat us. And that did for about, 2 or 3 hours. But then he was smart. We were up against the wall. and it made us stand away from the wall. And then when they'd hit, our heads bounced back and forth like this, like a boxing ball. So that lasted for a couple hours. So we had an awful headache, naturally. And nothing for the medicine or anything for the arm. They just put 2 sticks there and wrap some round cloth around there. And they shipped it out back to Manila. And I was in what they called Bilibid Hotel. Gee, criminy. Bilibid prison was the hospital for all these here prisoners that got hurt. And I got well and went to a place called, Japanese Air Corps. We worked for Japanese stevedore. And from there, I went to the Pasay, which was a big airport in Manila. It's now the international airport. We started building that runway, and we did that with nothing. And they like to beat somebody. At least they killed somebody at least once a week. The water treatment in there, which was something they'd stick a hose down in your mouth to your stomach, turn on the faucet, and you'd blow it up, and then they'd jump on it, and the water would come sprinkling out, you know. And most of the guy, I don't know of anybody that, I heard of one guy that lived through it. Most of them died, though. And then I got hit in the back again with a rifle butt, and I was paralyzed for a while. And that's how I got out of that prison camp, that one. But there's Americans buried underneath that runway out there. When they died, they just put them in there and covered them up. And a good friend of mine, I'll never forget this here, he got dysentery and he couldn't work. He laid down. So they made him stand at attention. Well, the fact is, they made him dig a little trench. It was about a foot deep. And he stood up there and they would shoot him. And they said, "You got anything?" He said, "Yeah. God bless America, you slant-eyed sons of bitches." And they shot him. And he's buried right there. And then from there on, was shipped out to Japan, went on a slow boat to China, we call it. It was kept breaking down, and was in a convoy. And the ship ahead of us got torpedoed. And the funny part was, after the war, I went to the war crimes, and the commander of that submarine, I met him, and he was interviewing me, and he said, "Hey, I was commander of that." He said, "The only reason we didn't sink you was because you were so darn slow and you was riding out of the water. We knew you weren't worth it, so they sunk the ship ahead of us." So then got to Japan, worked in a mill, making fertilizer and stuff like that, and I worked there for about 6 months, and I was transferred to another steel camp on the other side. There was a steel mill on the other side of the mountains on the China seaside. And there's where, well, by the way, the B-29s were coming over, and I'm ornery, and I'm always looking for food and stuff. That's what kept me alive. And I went outside. I was going outside the Japanese prison camp when the B-29s came over at night. I remember in the Japanese mess hall eating rice. And I'd eat all the rice I can and anything else to eat there. But one thing that saved me was I got caught right off the bat. But I always carried American cigarettes with me. Now, where'd the American cigarettes come? Red Cross boxes. And we didn't get that many American food or anything. And I give the guard 2 cigarettes. He says, "I smoke, you eat." And man, I'm just scooping down. To keep in supply of cigarettes, I would trade my breakfast, which was a canteen cup full of rice, for 4 cigarettes. That's how I kept supply. Well, I got caught one night coming back with some food, and that was the closest I'd been killed it was wintertime, and I remember they poured water all over me, and you'd freeze, and then they beat you with the sticks. And after a while, you had no feeling. So they quit that. And then they kept me back. Everybody that went to work, and 2 American officers said, well, they're going to execute you. They're going to cut your head off. And I said, oh, no. I could just see my head laying out there. And here they came out, and this one sergeant with a samurai sword, and you know, practicing like that, you know. And I said, oh, God. But I told the 2 officers, I said, you know, there's one thing. I'm not going to let them cut my head off that easy. I said, I'm going to try and make escape. And he said, how's that? I said, well, you know, the guards haven't got, all the guards were lined up over there. They don't have rounds in there in the chamber. I'm going to grab one of them rifles and start shooting. Then I'm going to run for the mountains. I said, you know, 2 things are going to happen. They said, what? I said, well, you know, if they kill me, my body's there. But if they don't, you tell the Americans after the war that Farner's running around in the mountains up there. And they said, well, good luck to you. So that was a lot of other little things. I could talk all day, you know, things. But one of the main things was food. You had to eat the food that they give you, which was nothing hardly. We call it sometimes air raid soup. That means that there was something in that soup, like maybe if it was fish, the eyes. You see, fish eyes. Well, you get out after you drink the soup, what do they call it? We'd play marbles with the eyes, snake eyes. They give you maybe a chunk of fish. Oh, man, they're really giving you, take a bite, and there'd be a big old maggot wiggling around there, half of it in there, so you ate, hey, extra meat, good. Don't tell them about it. They can take it away, so you ate the maggots. And the rice would have worms in it at times. You ate everything. Guys that did not eat that kind of food could not do it. They're not here today. And that was the biggest thing. You always thought about the food. And one thing you do, the freedom. You know, they could kill you for anything. They either shot you, beat you to death, or cut your head off in there. So you respect life. And you had to, I'm not going to die in prison camp. That was my one thing. So anytime we got, sabotage them, on these work parties and stuff, we sabotaged the heck out of them. Later on in that Palawan, where I told you, first airport, they killed everybody afterwards, so they had a massacre, and there's only 7 guys escaped from that whole 175. And I say that arm broke. Well, I was lucky to get out of there. I might have been killed there. So I was very lucky all during that prisoner of war. When I left that first camp in Japan, right afterwards, the Americans came in and strafed it and bombed it, and they killed 35 Americans. And then when we went over to the other airport, a bomb landed in our compound. They had a big raid one night, B-29s, and only 100-pound bomb landed in our compound. So we was lucky there. And then the American Navy found us, our camp, and then they dropped a message and told us to go to a Japanese airport, which was too far away. We all marched down there and waited. And Americans flew their planes in, and there was about 200 of us. That's right. There's about 200 of us, and they flew us out to a naval hospital ship in Yokohama Bay. The first Purple Heart was for the shrapnel wounds on Corregidor. The second one was for the breaking of the arms in there. Right. And they finally, I kept telling the Marine Corps, I said, hey, how about all these here? And they said, well, you got to have proof. You got to have the record. And where these records came from is beyond me. Last year, the VA, a ex-Marine that works for the VA, sent them to me. He said, you might be interested in this. And here they were. When the Americans were liberated in Manila, they had all these records from that hospital. And where they've been at all these years, I don't know. I know they weren't in my medical records because, you know, when we got transferred around, you got to carry your medical records with you, and you always look down and see if there's anything there, and never was. 2 months ago, yeah, about 2 months ago, that's when I heard about it. I said, 2, and I like to fell over. So this is the greatest honor. I probably enjoy him more now, maybe. You know, you never know, but it was a great ceremony that they had over there. They went all out. MCRD here is so green. This is what the Marines are. One thing about it, they'll grow up fast. And they get in combat, you will grow up fast. That's one thing. And I think the Marines are better trained now, especially technical-wise. You know, we didn't have things back. When we started out the war, we had World War I stuff. I had a BAR. You could shake it and sound like a, I don't know, tin cans. It was from World War I. It was so rotten. I mean, the parts were just rattled. And I don't think you could shoot over 100 feet with it. There's bullets would fly every which way. The barrel was pitted and everything. But the technology that the Marines have, they're better trained now than I think there was in our day. It was all muscle, you gotta be this way, you gotta be macho stuff in there. He just didn't have this stuff like when I saw the first damn time I saw an M1, I said, what is that? And then, of course, now you got the M16 and stuff like that. You got to put your mind to you're going to survive. Nothing's going to kill you. That was my one thing. Nothing was going to kill me in there. That's all there was to it. There was only 13 Marines in 12 Marines in our one camp, and we all survived. That's one thing I can say. The Marines did stick together, and you had to stick together with somebody in there. If you didn't, then there's so much could happen to you. The loneliness and well, the whole thing was food for one thing, and you had to joke around a lot. If you didn't entertain, you could get some crazy talk about. You talk about when you got home, what you going to do this, what you going to do, what you going to do, everything, you know. You had to say that. Because if you didn't talk about something, you go nuts. And a lot of guys did go crazy because they weren't interested in it. They just give up. If you wanted to die in prison camp, it was so easy. You say, I'm going to die. And about 2 days later, you were dead. That's all there was to it. You had so much time on, well, you didn't have time because they worked you to death. Oh man, you worked 7 days a week, 8 or 10 hours a day on 3 bowls of rice and barley. Sometimes it was barley or oats. And you had no medicine. And we had, if you got there in the Philippines, you got tropical ulcers awful lot. And a lot of places you had maggots go in there and clean out your sores for you. And then to get the maggots, when you came home, you washed them out. Then the little piss ants would come in there and you let them clean out a lot of the dead meat or the maggots, because maybe. But the only thing is, they would start eating your meat too, and the nerves, and then you had to. You woke up real fast, like when they started doing that, eating, and then you went and washed them out and wrapped it up again. You used your bandages again and again. You washed them out as best you could. My gosh, the doctors, if they saw you use one bandage, you touch your hand on it, you know, you throw it away nowadays. Well, we use the same ones. And you were rags. We had no shoes, no clothes hardly at all. I was in Korean War, and that was, to me, I had the best job going. I was with the Air Wing, issuing ping pong balls out of special services. So I had it really, I was over there a year and a half, and Mag 12, and then I came back. That was just an easy tour, a wartime tour. It was real easy. Then I came back to Camp Pendleton. Then I was Special Services, and that's where I met my wife. And I was in charge of the riding stables there. And then from there, I came back down here to MCRD. It was the MPs. And I was, first of all, I was brig warden down here, one of the brig wardens down here. And then I went down to Shore Patrol working with the San Diego Police Department. That was 2 years of great duty. And they don't have it like that anymore. And then I went from there back to Okinawa and was with the old regiment, 4th Marine Regiment over there. And then I came back to Quantico. Of course, my back went out on me, and I spent 6 months in the hospital up here at Balboa and recuperated. And then I went back to the 1st Marine Division, and I was just there for a while. Then that's when I retired. Well, today, I don't think that too many Americans appreciate the military. If they only knew, if they ever got their freedom taken away from them on account of an army or somebody, you know, invading them, taking over, and then they would say, oh my gosh, where was the Marines at? Where was the Army, the Air Force, you know? In there, they would really appreciate the serviceman. And the serviceman, to me, well, like I say, all my relatives, and I got 2 sons. I got a son in the Navy now, and I had one son that was in the Vietnam War, and it's just what am I trying to say there? The freedom that we have, the things that we have nowadays, if it's all taken away from them, I don't think that too many people appreciate it. That's my big concern. It really kind of worries me at times. I do a lot of education work with the kids because I had a lot of animals. And I take, every Friday I go to a camp in Palomar Mountain. It's called 5th grade camp by the county running there. And I tell the kids that how important it is for them to get educated and to respect their elders and the school. Take advantage of everything, because if they ever get their freedom taken away from them, just, it'd be too late then. They say, oh my gosh, I wish I'd done it this and done that. Do I appreciate them more now? Probably, nah, I don't know. But I would like to have had them when I was, like you got your ribbons there. That Purple Heart with the gold star in there was mighty nice, you know, on active duty. You know, the more ribbons you got, you know, you feel great. To wait till the young man over there gets a few ribbons and gets them stripes on, and when you make that rocker down below, it's altogether different in the world. There's what you work for. You're night and day, you know. when you make staff sergeant in there and gunny and all them up in there. That's the greatest thing. I am very, very lucky. Very lucky.